Weekend Update. The Weekend Update. Your weekly recap of news, current events, and trending stories. Let's do this. The Weekend Update with your host, Nate Armbruster.
All right, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out while this is late, and you know, every week for the last month, something has come up on a Sunday, and it is bananas. Like how it's not like it snuck up on me. Okay, we went to a wedding on Sunday in Chicago. It was a Sunday wedding, and I kind of forgot about it, or at least, you know, my schedule got a hold of me, and I don't know. Anyway, so I promise, coming up here, I'm opening up my Sundays, right? We're gonna get back on track. Yeah, so that was it. But now we're back, and this is what I'm going to do. Today is Saturday, and I'm recording this late, and you're going to get a bonus episode. That's what this is. This is what'll be known as an extra one, and because I'm a good guy, and anyone who listens to this podcast doesn't deserve to miss an episode. Okay, once a week we're doing this, and sometimes it'll be twice a week. Now, in the week that I missed, Halloween, the week of Halloween, right? Leading up to Halloween. Now, I'm really coming into my own in the fall. Now, this is about the time every year where I really, I get in hibernate mode. Like, I put on a few pounds. I don't leave the house much. It's starting to, and it's not even that cold really. But it's fall, so mentally, I'm in that state of mind, right? So I'm making a lot of stuff in the crock pot. Now, crock pot, if you don't do it, you should do it. It's you can make the most amazing meals when doing the bare minimum, okay? So if you're not the best cook and you want a little self-esteem boost, I suggest making something in a crock pot, okay? If you want to feel like a goddamn chef, you should get yourself a crock pot and throw a roast in there and let it sit for 9 hours and then feed it to people, and they will think you're Gordon Ramsay, okay? They will love anything you make in a crock pot. It's so hard to mess it up, okay? And the thing about a crock pot meal is pretty much anything you're going to make is going to be like comfort food, right? Or like, maybe not comfort food. I'm trying to find the right term here. It's going to be something like a soup, right? Or like a stew or a roast, something just real hearty. And I don't know what it was. I've been in Chicago a few years now, and a big thing in Chicago is Italian beef. They have this place called Portillo's, another place called Al's Beef, which I prefer, and locals have judged me for that, but that's neither here nor there. But that Sunday, I got all fired up. I'm like, you know what? It's a Sunday. We're going to watch some football. Have like a Sunday in the fall. And there was something about it. I'm like, you know what? We should make some homemade Italian beef. Now, it's just the two of us, right? So we're cooking for two people, and I don't know how food works, okay? I'm not like a chef. I don't know. I can't do math in my head. I'm not good at figuring out portions. Like, okay, well, we're feeding two people, so we don't need that much. Now, the recipe that I found online, right, calls for 5 pounds of like chuck roast. You throw it in the crock pot, and then you put all this stuff in it, and you let it sit for like 9 hours or something like that, right? And I go to the store. I go get everything we need, and then I go grab 2 chuck roasts that were 2.5 pounds to equal out 5, right? I don't know why. I'm sorry if these details are boring, but there's a payoff, I promise. So I'm like, this is what the recipe calls for. This is what you got to make. I didn't know you could cut this stuff in half. So I make the whole thing, and it's just like if it all fit in the crock pot, it's not even like a huge thing. So I'm like, this will be, it'll be plenty. Obviously, you want to make enough so you have leftovers, but I didn't consider the fact that these are like, they're pretty heavy sandwiches, right? It's not like you can have a couple. It's like you have one and you're pretty full. You don't need a whole other. So now we have 5 pounds of Italian beef to get through, and we had that shit every day for like the next 5 days. I mean, it was breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I mean, okay, not breakfast. That was a little much. But yeah, it was. I'll never do that again. Now, you're probably wondering why, because it's so gross. You want to know why? It's because it's damn expensive to go grocery shopping now, and I was not about to throw any of this away, okay? I kind of have an old school take on it. It's like, you know what? I paid for this, and it's already cooked, okay? So we got dinner for the next few nights until this is gone. And it was like, you just feel kind of gross. You're like, I can't eat this anymore. I'm trying to give some to my neighbors. I'm like, you want some Italian beef? It's homemade. It's good, you know? But going to the grocery store now, it's like, Jesus Christ, it's almost cheaper to eat out these days. And of course, that's a problem. You know, it shouldn't be that way. We should be able to go buy groceries for a reasonable price or, you know, something not so outrageously expensive. But honestly, it's kind of the best time to be alive if you like to eat out. If you want to go to dinner, it's like, I mean, okay, we can spend, $50 at the restaurant, or we can go buy a few days worth of groceries for $300, you know? Okay, I mean, I don't know if those numbers are accurate, but it always seems like it. It seems like everything's kind of creeping up in price, which is crazy. But I don't know. I can't explain inflation. I'm just an idiot with a podcast, you know, who doesn't even know. Okay, here's why I can't explain inflation is because I don't understand that if you're cooking for two people, you don't need to make the entire 5 pounds of Italian beef. Like, why didn't you just make half of it? And you also probably would have saved like $20 or whatever the hell it costs. So let my failure be a lesson for you guys, okay? Anyway, so since I talked to you guys last, Halloween happened, and I hope you had a good one. I don't know what you do if you got kids. I guess you either have kids and you go do the trick-or-treating stuff, or you're an adult and you pass out candy, or you don't do anything at all, I guess. But most years, because we live in an apartment, it's like we don't see any kids. We don't pass out candy or anything. But all my friends now have houses, and all of them are getting their candy stolen, which is hilarious. They were like, there were multiple friends of mine who had like Ring camera footage of their candy bowl being just completely ripped off by some kid, walking up to the house, just like, pouring it in their bag. There was one video that you may have seen online too. The kid even flips off the camera. I'm like, what a dick. No, I don't want to sound like a boomer, but this, I hate using the term boomer because I just think it's like, it's funny online, but like when you say it, it's like, who's this guy boomer? Like it's pretty stupid. But yeah, I don't want to sound like a angry old dude, but I'm like, walk house to house. Isn't that the fun part? Now, don't get me wrong. Stealing a whole bowl of candy is kind of funny. But as a kid, I don't know. It never crossed my mind. I can't believe kids are doing that. And then it's like, what do? You steal one, then you go home? I mean, what a lame way to celebrate. Or, why'd you even put on the costume? Just walk up and take the bowl. I think we should have like an adult Halloween where adults can walk door to door and then they're handing out like, little shooters of alcohol and edibles. And I think that would be cool. I don't know why adults haven't thought to try something like that. I mean, why not? Okay, life's already tough enough. I think we should have a little fun. Speaking of fun, this is probably the most fun I've had on Halloween in years. Okay, so as you know, I live in Chicago, and a friend of mine was in town traveling for work, right? So he was like, we should meet up for a drink. So I met him at the bar on Halloween, and we're chatting, and he brings up that he has a friend that he met the last time he was in Chicago, and he's like, so I invited him out too, and I'd never met this guy, and it turns out he was at a friend's Halloween party. It was like a private Halloween party, and everyone's in costume, and he was like, bring your friends, free, drinks and food, and I was like, I gotta go to this party, right? Because my original plan was to head out of town that night. So I was like, nah, okay, I'll meet you real quick and say hi and hang out for a minute, catch up, and then it was like, oh, you're going to a Halloween party? Now I got to check this place out. The only thing is I'm not in costume, and neither is he. So we show up. We're like, what? I mean, it was pretty casual. There were a couple people not in costume, but, when you're the people that show up that aren't necessarily, quote, invited, you're like the new faces. Everyone's like, who the hell is this person? So we show up, and this was unbelievable, right? There's people they had everything, food, drinks, and they had the Monday Night Football game on, and during halftime, they had a woman doing a fire eating routine which blew my mind, okay? Because we're in kind of this like private space, and it's, somebody just owns this building, and they hang out there. And they're like, okay, it's time for the fire eater. And this woman comes out, and all of a sudden, Michael Jackson's Thriller starts to play. And she's like twirling these like, they're like, batons on fire. And if you guys know someone who does this, or if you do this yourself, it is like the most impressive, least impressive thing you can do. Does that make sense? It's like really cool because I'm like, wow, I wouldn't do that, or I can't do that. But it's also not impressive because, I could probably do that. I could probably learn how to do it pretty quickly. But for what it's worth, it was pretty impressive. And 90% of the reason it was so impressive is because it was so unexpected. I was like, what? A fire eater? What is that? The other thing too is you play like squares basically on the football game. So everybody's like throwing around money and playing squares and all this stuff. And that night I purchased, so this is the deal. I think I've talked about the lottery before. Every time the Powerball gets up to $1 billion, I play it like I'm convinced that I'm going to win it. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people are. I know. But I'm like, no, this is it, man. We're going to win this. You know what I mean? Like I am into it. And the thing is, I've played like 3 or 4 times now, and every time I'm like, well, shit. I mean, nobody has won. So the thing is, when it gets this high and nobody wins, you're like, okay, now I have to play the next one just so I know I lost. But what I started doing, and I feel like this is hurting my chances for some reason, I'm convinced anyway, that I've started buying the tickets on the Illinois Lottery app, which is trashy as hell. Okay, I downloaded the app and I linked my, bank account to it. It's a pretty low point for me, but it's the easiest way to do it. But I also feel like the winner never wins using the app. They always buy their tickets from the most random hole-in-the-wall liquor store. It seems like that's always the case anyway. So now that I'm in Michigan this weekend, I'm like, okay, I refuse to download another state's lottery app just to play this Powerball. So I've been going to the most off-the-wall liquor store. Okay, this is what, the world's ending, okay? This is my fun. Let me have my fun. People like to make fun of lottery. I only play when it gets this big, okay? This is how I keep myself from gambling all of my money away, is I get to play if it's even an ungodly amount of money. This is my little fun, okay? I don't golf. I don't have any extracurricular activities beyond like comedy, which is somehow my job. So I don't, I'm like, okay, look, if I want to spend a little money and play the lottery, the Powerball, like I'm going to do it. But the thing is now you feel dumber and dumber every time, because every time they lose, like I couldn't imagine playing this every week, 'cause I know some people do that. And I just couldn't imagine every week somebody else wins. And then when people don't win, it's like this, I don't know how many drawings this Powerball has had, but imagine playing since it started. Every week you buy another ticket because it gets bigger and bigger. And now I'm just like, it's been 4 drawings in a row and nobody's won. And now I just feel like a dipshit buying a lottery ticket. So, here's a fun game to play too. Like this is what I started doing. Like I'll buy some easy pick tickets, right? Because apparently those are your best odds. Okay. I mean, I don't know. Like clearly, your best odds are also your worst odds in this scenario, because the odds of you winning are crazy. But you can pick the numbers, right? You can do all your easy picks. You can do 100 easy picks if you want and just buy them online. So if you want to play the lottery, this is even riskier. You can pick all of your numbers, do your easy picks or whatever, and then take a screenshot of them, okay? But don't actually buy them. And then when they do the drawing, you can see if you would have won. And that's fun. It's a fun way to, it's like meta gambling, It's like I'm gambling, but I'm not really. But also, if any of these numbers pop up, I'm going to lose my shit. That's what I started doing. And so far it's been like, I'll buy my tickets and then I'll do like an extra 10 easy picks and then save them. But I don't actually buy them, but I save the numbers that I would have played just to see if what if these numbers came in? But I also saved like $20 by not playing those 10. And then I'm all excited because I'm like, well, at least I didn't spend an extra $20. But on the other hand, if those numbers came in, I would lose my shit. It would be the worst day ever. So good luck to anyone playing the Powerball. And if after this bonus episode you don't hear anything else from me, I won. I won the Powerball. Okay, that's all I could say. All right, so I'll be back tomorrow with a whole new episode, and we'll actually get into some current events, newsy type stories. If you're listening to this, thank you so much. I have an album coming out too, if you didn't know that, and there's a link in all of my social medias and all of the show descriptions that'll have a link to my email list. And if the easiest way to find it, I guess, if you don't know, if it's your first time here, go to weekendupdate.com and it'll prompt you once you go on the site. And I would love for you to sign up, because if you sign up for my email list, I won't spam you guys with it. It's just for, hey, I'm coming to town. I'm going to be telling some jokes. I'm doing a show near you. I would like for you to come see me. Or at least invite you out. And then, big podcast stuff, when that comes up, I'll share that news with you. And most importantly, if you're at all interested in what I'll be doing with this album / special, whatever, and you want a direct link to it, I'll just send it right to you once it's available. And I appreciate your support. So thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time here on Weekend Update.
You've been listening to the Weekend Update with Nate Armbruster, and you liked it, didn't you? If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review, and be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week on the Weekend Update.
Bye-bye.